Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and then immediately wished you hadn't? Or maybe later you looked back on it and you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't said that or done that. This happens to me in parenting, it happens in relationships. It's a really challenging thing as a high performer because we have really high emotions a lot of the time when your nervous system senses a threat. So if you're overreacting in conversations, you're acting emotionally, you're overcommitting yourself without really thinking it through, or maybe you snap on someone or you feel regret or tension after some sort of interaction, this is not failure. It's actually just activation, like emotional stress without regulation. So we're going to add in that regulation piece today. My name is Elyssa Smith. I'm a trauma informed executive coach, and this is part 4 of our series, Emotional Regulation for High Performers. And if you want to avoid future regrets for when you're overwhelmed, today I'm going to show you a 2 to 3 minute pre response practice to pause. Can you say that 4 times, 10 times fast? To pause and respond intentionally when tensions are high, especially if you are internally triggered. This is going to be so helpful for you because even if it has nothing to do with the situation at hand, you are going to get to a calmer place, which is so much kinder to your own soul, including the other people around you. So, reactivity comes from high activation and limited emotional capacity. And what this looks like is when we are in an activated state, right? When we're stressed out, our nervous system puts us into survival mode. And this looks like fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It's like I need to run to the nearest tree and get away from the saber-toothed cat. It's like I need to fight to the death. I mean, it's pretty high stakes. And your system doesn't know the difference between a conversation that is a little triggering to you because of something you just did 10 minutes ago that has nothing to do with this conversation, or being 5 minutes late to an appointment. It doesn't know the difference between things like that and actual high stakes life or death threats. So, because of that, it has one response that it's real good at, and it will kind of siphon you off into one of the 4 areas: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And when it goes into that survival mode, your executive functions, your higher level thinking, your higher level decision making goes offline. It's like not accessible in those moments. So, you actually can't operate at your best and do good words in that moment. Your words and your articulation and your communication and your empathy are very, very limited in those moments, as you probably well know. So when that's happening without regulation, the body will just trigger into that space, and you can't really control the words that do or don't come out. I have some clients that get like tongue tied when they're in that moment, but a lot of times those of us who are used to being like strong, independent humans, we are, go-getters, we're high achievers, we're high performers, we're high impact people. We usually speak in those moments because we're used to being able to communicate and articulate what we need. And your brain believes in that moment, if I act fast, I'm going to prevent danger or loss. I got to do it now. But it doesn't realize that you just don't have all your capacity that you normally do in those moments. So it can also be like scratching an itch to kind of protect yourself by letting the emotions dictate your actions and your words. Your nervous system thinks that this is all going to process the feelings and resolve them. Because how does it feel to feel activated? Not good, right? It feels yuck. It feels ick. It feels your system doesn't feel good when you're activated, when you're in a stressed state. So, what does it want? It wants to stop feeling that way. And it thinks that by just launching out whatever happens to be right behind your lips towards the person that you're upset with, children included, listen, this is especially for parents, because when you are dealing with your own triggers and also trying to raise little people with their own triggers and the meltdowns are flying, listen, none of us are at our best in that situation. But you can start to watch for this because your body is looking to exit these feelings somewhere. It doesn't realize that you have to sit with them, process them, and then get your left brain back online, your rational thinking, your empathy, your executive functions, before you can actually have a good response and move through those uncomfortable feelings. So, as you know, if you've ever had to apologize for something in hindsight, or something you did for something you did in the heat of the moment, overwhelmed parents, especially, it's really painful at best and very damaging at the worst, creating more layers of things to work through. Because in that moment, you're doing a disservice to yourself if you just say whatever is on your mind. It feels like scratching an itch. It's actually like, for lack of a less yucky example, it's like picking off a scab that is needed. Scabs are needed for a reason, to stop the bleeding. So we just start we hurt our own selves in that moment, and we probably are also hurting the other people too. So the solution isn't just to try and force yourself to like be quiet and smile and be happy, like a Stepford wife. It's not that. It's just to expand your capacity a little bit and to give yourself a beat, to give yourself a moment. So that's why I have this pre-response ritual that you can kind of walk yourself through. It's a practice. I don't know if I want to say it's a ritual, but you might need to ritualize it so that your brain gets it, that every time we are feeling this heightened feeling, this is what we do rather than what we used to do. So responding thoughtfully instead of reacting rashly is just a skill. It's just a skill, and it's built on emotional capacity, and it's not based on willpower. So if you grew up as a person, as a kid who you felt like you had to be perfect in order to have worth and value, and maybe you learned that you just had to like white knuckle everything, like just try harder, just be better, just do more. This is going to feel a little weird because what we're going to be asking our systems to do instead of try harder, be better, do more is to sit for a minute. Pump the brakes, babe. It's going to be a little challenging for the system, but I can speak from experience, and I have all my clients do things like this when they are expressing that they are really irritable from certain things or at certain times. It's predictable usually when we will be the most irritable. So you can watch this and see when you're most likely to be experiencing these feelings. And when you identify the predictability of the maybe the irritability or the anxious cycle that causes you to say things that you regret, you can recognize it, see it coming, and then stop and do this practice. So the first thing we do, okay, pause and respond. That's kind of the idea here. Number one, get out of there. I want you to take a break from whatever is happening. If you feel that activation coming on and you're like, I'm about to let it fly, I want you just to close it up, walk away for a second, have an urgent phone call that just came in, suddenly remember that you have to go do something. Like, listen, I'm not here for being deceitful, but you do have to go do something in that moment. Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot I need to go take care of something real quick. Or I'm so sorry, I need to go take care of something. Pardon me for a moment. This also applies when you're parenting. This can feel really hard because you might be triggered because there needs to be disciplinary action. And our brain in that moment, as a triggered parent, believes that we need to discipline in the moment. This is actually not true. So part of my expertise is in attachment parenting, and I have all this training about like childhood development and childhood psychology and how to like raise children without you know, as much trauma as possible, like raising them without as much of it as you can, because we all were traumatized growing up. And, I always joke that my son can take the money I'm saving for him and put it towards college or put it towards therapy. Like, I'm going to mess him up in my own special way. But the bottom line is, when you are in your own trigger and you feel like you need to discipline the other person, the other small person, that can feel out of control to not go through with that right then. But if you are angry, if you are upset, if you are activated, this is not a safe place to parent from for you or the child. You're going to have to go through a repair process if you say what's on your mind, even if you just discipline and you have to add your anger to it in order to make it really like really stick. A lot of us grew up with authoritarian parenting where we didn't ever, maybe it was absent parenting. Maybe we had abandonment issues or neglect issues in that family of origin, but most of us never learned how to be a present parent. And in that case, it's going to be really helpful to take a parenting break. So, step one, no matter what you're doing, if you're parenting, if you're not parenting, if you're at work, if you're in a conversation with your partner, in a conversation with someone that's just for whatever reason you're not able to be patient, get out of there. Take a break, no matter what you're doing. Then put your hand on your chest, and when you're gone, like preferably not in front of the other person, it might be weird, but go ahead and get your break, go to the restroom, go somewhere, and then put your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. And as you're breathing in, I want you to find a mantra that works for you. It could be breathing in saying, it is safe, and then breathing out saying, to be still. So I wanted to have something to do for you, something that resonates for you, but something to do with feeling safe when you're not taking the action. Because your body wants to get to the other side of the feeling, and it believes that by doing the action of spouting off at the mouth or whatever it is, it thinks you'll feel better. But ultimately, we know that that's not the case. So we need to take a moment, slow breath in, and then and then do your mantra. And then you ask yourself, what is my intended outcome here? So if you are parenting, this is really key. My intended outcome is to teach my child not to. I Most of my clients with little kids get really upset when their children go through the lying phase. Every child has a lying phase for the most part. And it doesn't say anything about the parenting. It doesn't say anything about the child. It's just normal childhood development. Everybody lies at some point, and the parents get freaked out. And so, what is my intended outcome here? I would like my child to learn not to lie. Okay. You also don't want your child to just cover up when they lie, right? So don't be the dragon that they came to and you figured out they lied and then you rah. No, we need to be that safe space that says, okay, I know that this happened and you said it didn't. And here's what I need from you in order to repair trust now. We need to teach them to repair trust. We don't need to punish children for this. We need to teach them to repair trust. Okay. And it's the same with any other situation. What is my intended outcome? I need to have a conversation with my boss, even though this person triggers me to high heaven. I need to have a conversation that's productive with this person. I cannot do that in an activated state. I'm going to get calm and I'm going to figure out a way that I can communicate to my boss. I'm going to lean on support as I can. I have a lot of clients who actually hire me as their coach to help work through things at work or work through things in their business where they need to have a calm demeanor and their triggers are getting in the way. So then you go back to the scenario and you respond with intention, not urgency. Only after you're feeling better. And your goal is just to give your system a minute to stabilize before you take action. Okay. So this has to be something that we are rewiring. It's not easy at first because we're used to like rushing and pushing through. That's usually how high performers got to where we are. So if you're used to rushing and pushing through, this will feel weird at first, but you practice this and slow down and take a pause and take a breath and work on feeling safe in that moment of activation and then respond the way you want to with your higher level thinking back on board after your deep breaths. That's what helps. So when you respond effectively with your nervous system being able to hold activation and stress safely, you are teaching your system something new because probably when you were little, you had to do whatever it took to get your needs met. So you either stuffed all your anger until it came out sideways later, or you let your anger loose and it maybe wasn't effective, or you just did like I did and you were just never angry. I thought that's what happened. But then I ended up real depressed in my 20s when I moved out of my house. The really amazing news is that you can totally rewire all of this. You can rewire every single knee-jerk response that you have to design better outcomes for yourself and the people around you. You can build up your relationships instead of tearing them down when you have big volatile feelings. We can have those feelings. This process is not to make it so we don't have big feelings. This process is to make it so we can withstand them, sit with them, and not react from there, but react from our true self, which is that calm, still voice within. So, next month, we're going to be exploring why it feels hard to rest, even when you know better, because that is something that a lot of high performers deal with, is that it feels lazy to take a break. So, we're going to come back here, come meet with me next week. We're going to start off that series. And I hope this has been helpful for you. So, take a beat, expand, give yourself space to feel your emotions. And if this video resonated with you, I would so love for you to subscribe, like, share it with somebody. And you can download my free gift for you, which is my 5 nervous system hacks that you can do at your desk. It's really easy and it's a great way to get grounded and started on changing your brain pathways today. My name's Elyssa Smith, and I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, take such good care of yourself.